Charlie Parker learned and used nearly 100 principal motives that he used during his improvisations. This is what Thomas Owens determined after he studied 250 recordings of Parker's improvised solos. He studied the transcriptions of Parker's solos, which he divided into two groups, early period and mature period. He found common motives that appeared throughout his solos depending on a number of factors, including key and harmonic plan, say the blues, rhythm changes, etc. A motive in music is a small musical idea, a short phrase that has special importance within a piece of music. Is like a recurring symbol. Bird would use tools for melodic development or alteration, such as rhythmic augmentation and diminution, transposition, displacement, adding or subtracting notes. All of these in order to morph pre-existing ideas, pre-composed ideas or motives that he would then use during his solos. This might sound complicated, but what Owen said was that Charlie Parker had pre-planned ideas that he was able to use brilliantly by juxtaposing and interconnecting them during his solos. If you're afraid of improvising, this video might help you get the mystery out of the equation and get started. Disclaimer, I do talk about jazz because it's what I know, but I fully believe that all these concepts and ideas can be extrapolated to different fields and styles of music. Parker basically invented his own language and learned how to speak it fluently. That is a huge part behind improvisation as conceived by Charlie Parker and behind the study of improvisation within the realms of jazz today, although not entirely. Keep this in mind as we debunk 4 myths that surround improvisation. I'm Elan DARE, I play and record music and I share it. Now I talk about it too. If you like the videos that you're watching, please comment, subscribe, and leave me your thoughts. I'm interested to know if you improvise, if you allow yourself to do so, and how do you feel when you do it. Please let me know in the comments. Myth number 1. Improvisation is creating something brand new on the spot without preparation. The concept of improvisation being spontaneous, or a less romantic word, unplanned, can be dishonest. Both these things could be new. But what is the difference between knowing what to do and exploring as a newbie? To a certain degree, improvisation is something that's created on the spot, but how much or how little is planned is very much a decision of the musician. In the context of music, artists have their own idea of what improvisation is and should be. But in any case, musicians will be prepared with different tools. Improvisation is equated to a number of different things. Victor Wooten equates it to speech, Chick Corea to taking decisions, and Billy Taylor to telling stories. It could be quite hard to reach a unanimous decision on what improvisation is. Bill Evans thought of improvisation as a spontaneous creative process, revived by jazz, but that could happen in any style of music. He thought of jazz as a process rather than a style. And even though he did use to define it as spontaneous, I think he was referring more to the feeling and expression you put into it rather than it being unplanned or unprepared. Musicians do prepare. Acquiring knowledge and tools, they facilitate the process of improvisation. As a matter of fact, Bill Evans is notoriously known for having written tunes with specific concepts in mind, whether harmonic, rhythmic, or improvisational concepts. He did use music as a tool to study improvisation. This idea takes me to myth number 2. You can't practice improvisation. There is spontaneity in improvisation, but improvisation needs to be studied. Not like you study a piece of music that's written, playing exactly what the composer wrote. But you start by having plans that, with experience, you can hopefully begin to alter, add to, or completely disregard, depending on what's going on around you. For example, say we have a chord progression we're going to improvise over. We can use different plans to help us get started. Plan number 1 can be to use the triad of each chord melodically. Plan number 2 can be to use a portion of the chord scale. And plan number 3 can be to use a note that works with every chord. There's multiple scenarios that you can practice, and when you get to the moment of improvising, maybe you mix and match these ideas to make a more coherent solo or to follow more what you're hearing. Think about it. To have conversations with another human being, you had to be a baby and learn word by word what everything was. With time, you learn to complete phrases and talk coherently. And even sometimes as adults, we still struggle to articulate explanations or complex feelings. Improvisation is no different. And there's many languages within improvisation, like musical styles and the ramification within those styles. This improv is not the same as this, or this, or this. Myth number 3. Improvisations are unplanned. Chick Corea used to say, improvisation is taking a decision and making a move. He talked of freedom and rules. How much improvisation is there going to be? How much decision making is there going to be in it? There's a brief video of him explaining improvisation with a written melody as a reference, which I recommend you watch. Therefore, even when there's no prompt, like a chord outline, a scale, a form, or a key center, the musician will use other devices, maybe rhythm or space, texture, or an abstract idea to convey a certain mood or a feeling. The musician will use their knowledge of the instrument and of music in general. This is the result of practice, not just practice of the instrument, but practicing how to create new things with what they already know. Especially for improvisations within a specific style, it's likely that you will need a plan. You can use this as a departing or arrival point. You need options, you need resources. The fourth myth is that improvisation comes naturally to people. If you think you can't improvise, if you think that improvising is scary, you also need to know that improvising requires practice and knowing what to do within specific contexts. Improvisation can be intimidating for a lot of people, perhaps because the lack of encouragement to improvise, or perhaps because of the lack of articulated ideas that better describe improvisation. Improvisation can be this romanticized idea of it being something that just happens. As we go toward musical niches, there's specific language, slang that can be hard to imitate. Look into the great improvisers of our time. To some extent, all of them understood improvisation as a language they had to learn and practice so they could access colors, textures, sounds that would be very hard to present without getting to know first. What can you do? What could be pushing you away from improvisation is the lack of knowledge, tools, concepts, and practice. It could also be mere fear. I encourage you to just start. Improv doesn't have to be anything. You need to stop judging your ideas. Let them be. They will be right if you want them to be right. This is something we all struggle with, I think. Number 2 is try improvising without a set style in mind. It doesn't matter what kind of music you do, if it's jazz, electronic music, rock, pop, it really doesn't matter. Try to find a context in which you feel safe. It could be more chords, less chords, a loop, a song, rhythm, just drums. Find something and start improvising over it. Improvising can be very liberating, almost a cathartic process. If you practice, you come to enjoy it more and more as you study, get to know, and then let go. Keep in mind that you are not cheating if you prepare your solo. You're just getting to know what works and what doesn't. But make sure to leave space for freedoms so that you get used to the feeling of improvising. In short, it's okay to have anchors and ideas. Just make sure you're connecting the dots in between those ideas. Number 4, is come to terms with the hard work that goes behind improvisation. This can be sometimes a mental barrier. Learning the technicalities comes in handy so that when the moment comes, you're able to use all these tools, interconnect them, permute them, and then build something new with what you already know. And do it as seamlessly as possible. Number 5, embrace the process. You might not sound the way you want to right now. As everything, improvising takes time and experience. Don't try to rush it and enjoy the process.